Hello everyone and welcome to the New York Empoleon's Week 3 Team Builder of the APA Evolution Season 1. We are lost. That was a convincing loss, some might say, which is unfortunate on some level, but at the same time, I do believe that we have the capability as the New York Empoleon to bounce back from losses. We've suffered worse things in the past. Silver is, again, like I mentioned before, one of the better battlers, so I'm pretty excited about the way this season's going, and I think this team has potential. I do need to learn how to work it, though. I think that was a little bit on me, trying to make Pokemon do things that is outside their comfort zone. So naturally, this week I'm going to be stepping Pokemon completely outside of their comfort zone and seeing if I can make some of the most absurd sets I've ever done work for me in tandem. My opponent's matchup against me is actually horrifying. Landorus T, Hoopa Unbound, Florges, Infernape, Shaman, Kyurem, Swellow, Stunfisk, Muck, and Mega Slowbro, with Landorus T being his only Z user that he picked Z user for. Good English on me right there. This is why you probably should script these, but I don't. Even if I scripted them, it probably wouldn't be better than they are. Anyway, sidetracked immediately. What do we see right off the bat? Well, last week I mentioned my opponent had a lot of mixed attackers. I lied. This guy's got a lot of mixed attackers. Between Landorus T, which is mostly physical, but can run a Calm Mind special set, Hoopa, Infernape, Shaman, Kyurem, and Swellow. Honestly, that's most of his team. And so I've really got to be able to play around that. Admittedly, a lot of his other attackers are special attackers, so I should be watching out and prepping, especially defensively and stuff like that. Now, one thing to note is Stunfisk sucks. Not as a Pokemon. I'm not making fun of my opponent's draft. I'm saying my matchup against Stunfisk is awful. I have nothing for it. If that thing doesn't come this week, I don't know how I can possibly explain how stoked I'll be that there isn't a Stunfisk on my opponent's side of the field, because for some reason I just can't beat Stunfisk. That thing is so bulky. So I had Tapu Koko on this team originally, and I actually booted Koko off. I put Rotom in its spot, and I booted Rotom off because they could not deal with Stunfisk. So we have a team of Pokemon that maybe can handle Stunfisk. That thing is so scary to me. Alright, so when your opponent's got a Landorus T and a Hoopa, and your scariest Pokemon's a Stunfisk, you think maybe you're in good shape, but that's just not true. My team does not pair up well against his. Now, what do I think he's going to bring? Honestly, something's got to be Scarfed, because Koko outspeeds his entire team unscarfed, and I feel like he just has to bring a Scarfer this week. Landorus T and Hoopa or Infernape all make sense to me as potential Scarfers, since all of them can 1v1 Koko once it comes in. But he could go Scarf Kyurem as well, potentially, so I could see that. So I do see him running something, maybe two things Scarfed, so I do have to watch out for that. And beyond just that, it's just get rid of the Stunfisk. Handle the Stunfisk. I have one answer to Stunfisk, and it'll come up later on. So, Scizor is going to be our first mon that we're bringing this week. It's going to be a Choice Banded Technician Adamant set. Its speed, I got it to 190, which really was just because I want to outspeed a moderately invested Muck that's trying to speed creep me, as well as an uninvested Florges. Although it's not as important to outspeed Florges because I'm just mostly going to be clicking Bullet Punch on Florges, but I do want to outspeed an uninvested Florges. So we are going to be running a 190 speed, which is, again, not the most important thing in the world because Bullet Punch is my most free thing to click. U-Turn off of a Choice Band still does a solid 20% to a Landorus T after an Intimidate, which is pretty crazy. So Choice Banded Scizor is strong as heck. And Bullet Punch can definitely clean late game if I get in the situation to allow that to happen. But Bug Bite, since he's got the Hoopa, since he's got Shaman, and he's got Slowbro, all of which do not appreciate taking a Bug Bite more than they don't appreciate taking the other moves. I figured it's just good tech right there. I can just click it, maybe get a berry off of something, and then go from there. So that's going to be Scizor. Next up on my list, we have the Ditto. It's not anything special as far as Dittos go. Usually I'm going to set a hidden power, but this week I really just didn't know what he would bring that would run a hidden power that I'd even want, so I just decided not to bother. Maybe that's just lazy on my part, and it kind of was, but HP Ice would be the only thing that I could consider, but even then, I don't see it being that useful to click regardless. Most of the time, what I want to do with Ditto is come in on the Landorus T. If he builds his Landorus T specifically to prevent Ditto from doing anything fun with like Z Fly and Earthquake and then dual setup, basically what Ditto's going to do is be able to come in, intimidate it, force the fly, and that's going to allow me to switch out into other things that can take the fly, and that's going to be very, very helpful. So Ditto, even if it's a perfect counter Lando T, which is kind of what I'm expecting it to be, if it's not Scarfed, it could either be Scarfed or a perfect counter Lando T with the fly and EMZ, then Ditto still is valuable to me in that sense. Next up, we have Gardevoir. Gardevoir is going to be leftovers, Heal Bell, Taunt, Psyshock, and Moonblast with some decent physical defense, which is going to allow it to take on Swellow a little bit better, as well as a physical Infernape. Again, not going to like eat a Flare Blitz or anything, but it can take a hit from the Infernape if it is maybe choiced into close combat, or U-Turn's not actually going to do very much damage at all. Now, Taunt is there to handle the Stunfisk and the Muck, trying to do shady things. As well as this is outsped. This outspeeds an uninvested Shaman, so be able to taunt that and not allow it to Synthesis, to Leech Seed, stuff like that, which is otherwise fairly free. Heal Bell allows me to get rid of status, which I do think his team has a decent amount of opportunities to get status up on me. Between the Florges and the Stunfisk getting static paras and discharge paras, Heal Bell can just be very, very valuable. And then the Moonblast and Psyshock are just dual stabs, hit his entire team neutrally, so why not run them? Psyshock, because Florges and Muck both take more damage from Psyshock than Psychic, so why not? And those are the two things I would probably choose not to click Moonblast on anyway. So that works for me. He has no Steel type, so it's pretty free to have Moonblast. Next up, we do have the Druddigon this week. It's going to be making its debut here, and it is going to be rocking out Rocky Helmet, Rough Skin with the Sucker Punch, Stealth Rock, Protect, and Glare, max HP, max defense, Impish. Now, this set is very specifically designed to do one thing, well, two things. First thing, and the less important thing, is getting rocks up. Actually, I don't know if that's arguably less important than the more important thing. The second thing is to handle a physical Swellow. If he does go Guts Swellow, that is a big threat to my team. That thing hits really, really hard. Now, Druddigon is very, very carefully, I mean, you can see it's very, very carefully EV'd. Max HP, max defense, Impish, clearly very carefully made. But the forward attack actually does matter a little bit, and I might have taken something out of HP and defense if I needed more than that. What this set does is, I get rocks up. Okay, that's 25% on a Swellow. He goes for a Brave Bird, he takes Rough Skin, he takes Rocky Helmet, he takes Recoil. He takes burn damage for 2 turns, because then I go for the Protect, as he goes for another attack and takes another bit of burn damage. If all of that goes off, Sucker Punch kills. That puts Swellow needs Stealth Rocks, Brave Bird Recoil, Rough Skin, Rocky Helmet, and 2 turns of burn in order to be put in Sucker Punch range. As soon as that happens, I click Sucker Punch, Swellow dies, and Druddigon can continue to be annoying with its Rocky Helmet on things like the Landorus T, or the Hoopa, or the Infernape, that are all potentially physical attackers. And this thing, chip damage, 25% freely on switch-in is amazing. If I can get that, I can get my rocks up, I can glare. Glare is useful for things that aren't the Swellow, honestly, but even if he goes hard Swellow on my Druddigon, glaring that instead of the burn, that's honestly extremely useful to me, and I'm perfectly comfortable allowing that to happen. Yes, it doesn't put him in that same Sucker Punch range as well, and requires me to take a second hit, but it also means that he's slow and he can't deal with my other threats as well. So this is a very weird and very specific Druddigon set designed to do one thing and one thing very well, and that is to beat Swellow, because I don't have any other answer to Swellow. Swellow and Stunfisk together as a team scare the living daylights out of me. So next up, we have our Landorus Therian answer, which is going to be Hawlucha. It is going to be a bulky Hawlucha with enough speed to outspeed his entire team, not named Swellow. So everything up through Infernape. And it's got a little bit of attack investment, just because 84 attack U-turn does kill a Hoopa. And it's got Toxic, Roost, U-turn, and Encore. Encore, super useful for the Stunfisk, getting locked into rocks. Super useful for the Mega Slowbro, getting locked into not clicking Calm Mind, or clicking Calm Mind specifically, either that, and then I click Toxic on it and wear it down so it can't slack off, or clicking something like Scald, whereby I take the Scald, I Encore into Scald, and I can go out into something to take the Scald, and not take a Psychic, for instance, the Hawlucha, which can then Roost, and Toxic, and all those crazy shenanigans. Now this is going to be Limber, so that I can U-turn freely off of the Stunfisk and not worry about static, because this thing getting paralyzed is the worst status for it, honestly. So I'm looking at this now and I'm regretting it. Hawlucha and Druddigon together, between them, have U-turn and Sucker Punch as their only possible attacks. Gardevoir has no special attack investment. So basically I have two Mons that are going to be able to do anything offensive, and that is Scizor, and the last Mon I'm bringing this week, Sawsbuck, which is going to be Papa Berry with Sap Sipper. So not even Serene Grace like I mentioned in the draft analysis. Sap Sipper specifically so it can set up on the Shaman with its Baton Pass and Swords Dance set. Horn Leech and Facade. If I can get a Swords Dance off, maybe even two, then I go into my Scizor, I click Bullet Punch, and I kill basically everything not named Mega Slowbro, because a +5, even +3 technically with a Choice Band, Swords Danced regular Scizor is doing a lot of damage, and his team is very weak to Bullet Punch outside of Stunfisk and Mega Slowbro. And if I can get into that situation, then I'm in really good shape. That is sort of what this is about. It is Facade because, like I said, random status being thrown around is something his team does very, very well. And so I decided to opt for Facade this week instead of going with the Double Edge, mostly because I don't have reliable recovery on this. The Berry plus the Horn Leech can maybe get me some recovery, but I'm not necessarily convinced that's going to pan out. This was a last-second change. It was Assault Vest, and I had a couple other moves like Stomping Tantrum on here, and something else, and it was able to basically counter Shaman almost entirely, since it just completely walled it going for a Seed Flare, and then if it went for Hidden Power Fire, it did like 30%. But I decided to go with the Baton Pass and Swords Dance, mostly on the grounds that I liked the momentum of Baton Pass here, if I do get the opportunity to use that. And Swords Dance was incredibly useful, and Stomping Tantrum doesn't do more for me than Facade does, perfectly honestly. The coverage isn't better. So if I can get this thing status somehow and click Facade a whole bunch of times, his team doesn't handle that very well, outside of Mega Slowbro, which doesn't want to take Horn Leeches. So, Setup Sweeper Sawsbuck? It's an option, and honestly, this is really designed to pass that Swords Dance into maybe the Ditto, into maybe the... I don't actually know how it would work if I passed Swords Dance and Ditto. I actually don't know, but mostly into the Scizor. And that would honestly, if I can get a Baton Pass, Swords Dance into Scizor, click Bullet Punch, and Sweep, that would make me so happy. But that is going to do it for this team builder, guys. I am so excited. I don't actually know if I said my opponent's name at the beginning of this video. Oh god, that's a big faux pas. But anyway, we are playing against Jock and the Dunfermlinoones. It's all one word. I mean, it's just like, bam, Dunfermlinoones. So, I don't actually know how to say that, and I apologize. But we are playing Jock and the Dunfermlinoones this week in the APA Evolution. So, if he is uploading, and I'm not 100% sure if he is, go check out his channel. Link is in the description below. I apologize for not having said that at the beginning of the video and saying it here at the end, but I'm glad that I got it in there just because I think it's important to say who you are facing each week. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow with our Week 3 battle of the APA Evolution League. Take care, everybody.